As you probably figured out, most things that you state in English class or in school in general, you then need to prove. So first semester you had, if you'll recall, an academic discussion about theme. This was the last thing that we did first semester. This practice determining theme and tracking evidence will come in handy as we practice literary analysis writing. So first semester, you did all this work to collect evidence to support a theme for the purpose of an academic discussion. And what you were actually graded for was the discussion itself. I did that on purpose. I did want you to practice and to take that practice seriously of determining a theme of a text and tracking evidence for that theme without being graded for it the first time around. But now this is going to be the focal point of this playlist, okay? Because you're going to use that theme and evidence that you collect for this text, and you're going to put it together into literary analysis writing. What does that mean? Those are fancy words, Ms. Harrison. Literary analysis. Literary has to do with literature, right? Analysis, you're analyzing the literature in writing. That's all this means. Once again, as we share the experience of reading a text as a class, this time we're going to all read a text together again. You will decide what you feel the emergent theme is. That's a fancy way of saying which theme emerges. Okay, an emergent theme means a theme that emerges or comes forward. And you will collect quoted evidence to support that theme. So this is a process that you've already been through. This time, however, instead of for an academic discussion, we will study how to put all of these ideas together into coherent paragraphs. So instead of discussing your findings, you're going to put those together into coherent paragraphs. There are some rules you must learn and follow, however, and that's what this is all about. It's time to learn all about incorporating quoted evidence into your own analysis writing. Incorporating quoted evidence is a very important skill, not just for English class, but yes, a lot for English class. Not just when you're talking about literature. In future English classes, you'll be writing research type essays, okay, and you'll probably be writing research type essays in other content classes as well, specifically history, okay, DBQs, think DBQs. There's a right and a wrong way to quote evidence to support what you're writing, and we're going to learn all about that. Okay, these are learning targets 1.6 and 1.7. By the end of this playlist, so this is a 2-for-1, by the end of this playlist, you will be assessed for not one, but 2 different learning targets. So 2 grades in the grade book for this learning playlist. By the end of this playlist, your goal is to be able to say, 1, I can analyze how themes or central ideas develop over the course of a text. And I can use direct quotes and paraphrases from other writers in my own writing. As always, remember, use, reuse all the resources in this playlist to help you master these targets. These are tough. These are tough learning targets. Things are getting more complicated as you become more mature English students. So I can't stress this enough. You might have to go back, rewatch videos a couple times. You might have to really study these. These are tricky things that we're learning, but you can do it, and I'm here to help you. All right. For the first learning target, 1.6, to pass, to get a 60%, to get a 3 out of 5 in analyzing themes and central ideas, here's what you have to do. You have to independently determine an appropriate theme for a text and support that theme with 5 examples of quoted evidence. You're going to use that determining theme and I can't remember the name of it. Determining theme and collecting evidence or something like that. Form, it's the exact same thing that you filled out to prepare for our academic discussion first semester, so it should look familiar to you. But of course, I'll show you later on in the playlist what it looks like. But that's where you're going to determine your theme and collect the quoted evidence for that. Okay? Now, to get a B, to get a 4 out of 5, you need to be able to do that, but also thoroughly explain, how each of the examples of quoted evidence support the proposed theme. So whatever theme you propose, and whichever quotes you provide as evidence, you need to be able to explain how each quote supports what you say. Okay? To get a 5, to knock it out of the park, you need to also be able to write a paragraph demonstrating how the theme of the shared reading piece, so whatever theme you think that our shared reading has, you need to relate that to either a current event story or to another contemporary piece of literature, which basically means maybe some independent reading book that you've done this school year that you can recall. So if you read the text that we read together and you think that the theme is people can accomplish more as a team than independently, then you would also need to locate a piece of contemporary literature, or even it could be a current event story that supports that same theme, and relate those together and write a paragraph that will include quoted evidence from either a news article or from the selected literature, and include a thorough explanation of how the theme manifests in your chosen text, whether that be the news article or an independent reading novel. So you're showing how the theme that comes out in the shared reading text also appears in something else. You're making a relation between two different things, what we read together and something you've read and studied on your own. That's how you get to a 5. Okay? Now the other part of this learning playlist that you're learning is using direct quotes properly to support your own writing. So to get to a 3 on this one, you have to be able to use appropriate quotes or paraphrases to support your text analysis. You need to appropriately introduce that evidence, and of course I'll show you how to do that in the playlist, and properly punctuate and provide correct parenthetical citations for that evidence. And of course I'll show you in the playlist what that means and how to do it. To get to a 4, you also need to explain the rules for quote introductions. So in your own words, you're going to have to explain to me what all of the rules are for those introductions, for those punctuation rules, and for those parenthetical citations, which basically means how to put page numbers in after a quotation as they pertain to quoted and paraphrased evidence in text analysis writing. This all sounds very fancy and confusing, but stick with me in the learning playlist. It'll all make sense later on. And then finally, to get to a 5 on this one, you need to be able to do those two things and also write a TICA paragraph. And you, as of right now, have no idea what a TICA paragraph is. But of course, the playlist will teach you what that means and how to do it. So on top of writing paragraphs with quoted evidence for that, you also are going to write a TICA paragraph regarding a theme of a completed independent reading book. So you're going to decide what you think the theme is of your independent reading book, write a TICA paragraph about that, and post that on the Goodreads website in the review section for that book. All right, so here's a very quick overview of how we're going to accomplish all of this. If you're preparing to write out your literary analysis with quoted evidence, okay, these are the 4 very basic stripped down steps of what we're going to do. Read the text while determining what you feel the most compelling theme is and collecting quoted evidence to support that theme. So you already have experience doing that. We did it first semester, so that's good. The next thing is to study how to create a well-developed analysis paragraph, and that is the TICA paragraph that I mentioned in that proficiency scale, and you'll learn all about what that means. Then study examples and non-examples of how to correctly quote a text, and all of that is laid out for you in the playlist. And finally, write your own literary analysis complete with properly quoted evidence. So of course we will break these down in the playlist. I've said that about 100 times here, but just don't be intimidated. This playlist will take you quite a bit of time, and I'm aware of that. And I will guide you through it step by step. And of course, I'm here live in the classroom. If you are confused about any part of the playlist, please let me know.